Ladies and gentlemen, let's Red Gaming Catacombs video. Let's have a look at Dragon Age Inquisition on the Xbox One versus the PlayStation 4. We've done this as a full article as well, where we also check out DAI, if you will, on the PS4 versus the PC. So do check the video description if you want more information, and of course we link to a frame rate comparison of the Xbox One versus the PS4 as well. So anyway, how do the both versions stack up against each other? Well, as we have discussed in the frame rate video, as I said, check that out if you want more information. The PS4 version does definitely run slightly slower in terms of the frame rate than the Xbox One. You do get that frame rate dip, but the PS4 makes up for it because of higher quality resolution. It's running a native frame buffer of 1080p, which is certainly a few pixels extra than the 900p of the Xbox One. In addition to that, you do have character self-shadowing, does seem to be slightly superior on the PlayStation 4. You've also got better tessellation, and a few other small details are definitely going to be improved. So what you find is this really curious balance where the PS4 looks slightly nicer than the Xbox One, but has slightly inferior performance. So it really comes down to the question of, for most gamers, would you prefer a more stable frame rate? The Xbox One managed to cling to 30 frames a second pretty much throughout the experience. Or would you prefer a case of, you know, making it look slightly more pretty? Tessellation certainly can make a slight difference on, for example, rocks and other normal type of objects, which does increase geometry detail. It's not a huge, massive deal. Quite honestly speaking, you have to look for it for the most part, but obviously if you're sensitive to that type of thing, then certainly the PS4 does get a slight nudge. As I've mentioned earlier, shadow quality and overall image quality on the PS4 is definitely better. Those extra pixels might not sound like a big deal, but they do help to make shadows that little bit softer, whereas because the image on both machines is not using any particularly aggressive form of, say, multi-sample anti-aliasing, at the end of the day it's just using post-process, you can definitely notice that the image quality on Xbox One can suffer, and shadows in particular can really notice that. The Xbox One version as well, sometimes the lighting can feel a little flatter than the PS4, but it's certainly nothing awful. Like the PS4 version and the Xbox One version are pretty close to one another in overall quality. It's worth also pointing out that the loading times on both versions are pretty much interchangeable. When we were playing the two versions, we literally, on stock hard drives, literally just loading them up at the same time. Within 1 to 2 seconds, depending on the area, the games will load. So there's not too much of a performance difference in that regard. So really, to be honest with you, it's more of a case of, yes, the PlayStation 4 version does look a little bit prettier. As we've mentioned, you can obviously see some of the details in this video, and if you do want more information, as I said, do check out the link. So the PS4 version does look a little bit prettier, but then you have the performance benefits of the Xbox One. If I had to guess the reasons, is a couple. One, the Xbox One's CPU is probably providing a little bit of extra performance, because obviously it has that slight clock speed advantage over the PS4, but the PS4's GPU performance benefits over the Xbox One possibly aren't quite enough to completely and utterly cater for the fact that, yes, it's running at a higher resolution, it has higher quality higher quality tessellation, as well as self-shadowing and a few other bits and pieces, so it definitely is adding a lot of extra strain on PS4's GPU. Personally speaking, I would personally nudge, if I were spending my own money, I would go ahead and buy the PS4 version, because I don't think the frame rate issues of the PS4 are that bad. But if you are certainly someone who really doesn't like torn frames, and there are the odd torn frame on the PS4, which is definitely something that does help to damage the overall picture quality, obviously, of the PS4 version, then sometimes you have to take these things into account. Fortunately, most of the tears do seem to happen at, say, the top third of the screen, which isn't too bad. Generally, it's about the maybe 25% region at the top, so the tears aren't too awful. But obviously that's something that you do have to keep in mind, particularly if the screen does get a little bit busier. Obviously we were playing as a mage in this particular video really to hammer home, because obviously you've got those extra spell effects. But yes, overall I am very impressed with what Bioware have managed to achieve. on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One and the PC, which are the versions we've tested. If you want more information of the PC versus the PS4 or frame rate tests and so on, do check out the channel or click on the links in the video description. You can get that little bit more detail. Finally, I'd like to apologise for the slightly slow upload of this video. It's just because we've been, well, very busy on the channel, unfortunately. And in addition to that, we've been making some adjustments to our articles to improve the quality of them a little bit more, so you've got those much better comparison screenshots, and that's something we had to kind of code in the background. So hopefully all of you enjoy that and do give us some feedback. Anyway, with all of that said, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now. If you could rate, comment and subscribe, we would be very, very appreciative. Anyway, take care. Bye for now.